Hello, and welcome to episode 44 of the Wayward Skein podcast. We're back in the dining room because I have not yet picked up a tripod. I've been meaning to, and I haven't gotten around to it. I'm very sorry. As well, last week there was no episode because I developed a really big abscess in one of my teeth, and my face was out to here, and it was really painful, and it was awful, and today is my last day of antibiotics. Swelling has gone down considerably. The pain is almost completely gone. And classy cat, she's sitting on a chair right across from me cleaning herself. And really going to town on it too. So anyway, so I did not record a podcast last week. I meant to get one done over the course of the week. It was a crazy week last week. So that's what happened last week. My landlady was coming to visit on Friday, so there was kind of a crisis cleaning thing going on here. And during the crisis cleaning, tragedy struck. Accidentally, it seems that 2 of my projects have gone missing. It is possible they ended up gone. I'm still trying to organize things to see if maybe I'll find them in some nook or cranny where they got shoved, but I'm suspecting that one of them at least got tossed. My own fault. I left it somewhere on top of something I had completely forgotten about. Last fall I was given a couple of pumpkins. And they were unexpected, and I was leaving for a trip, and I didn't have time to deal with them. This was just before Rhinebeck. So I left the project on top of them. Well, I left a couple of things on top of them and meant to deal with them when I got back from that weekend and didn't get around to it. And imagine my surprise when the pumpkins did not start to smell. We all completely forgot they were there, all 3 of us. And yeah. You know what unattended pumpkins do? Unattended pumpkins kind of implode on themselves and make a mess. So it is entirely possible that my scrappy blanket project in a plastic bag was on the same chair as the imploded pumpkins when the cleaning was happening. So it is entirely possible that the whole thing just got scooped and tossed. Again, that is my own damn fault. We don't use that chair. We don't use that corner of the living room, to be honest. So it's just one of those areas that we don't go very often, and there was no smell, so we didn't notice it. And yeah. 5 years, I think, I've been working on that project. So the scrappy blanket may be no more. We're not entirely positive because nobody distinctly remembers throwing it out. And I don't specifically remember it being in that spot. So it could still be floating around somewhere. I'm still trying to organize all the chaos. My kids stepped up big time and did an amazing job while I was incapacitated and working crazy hours, and so I really appreciate them stepping up. And if my project did end up in the dumpster, that's my own damn fault, and I should learn to keep my house cleaner, right? So that's how I'm looking at it. To offset the tragedy, though, the other project that has gone missing is my School at Play scarf. Now, I very much suspect that I put that somewhere, and right now it's missing. But I have a suspicion as to where it is. I just have to reorganize. My house is pretty clean and I'm pretty happy right now. My bedroom is absolute chaos because I didn't get around to doing my bedroom. And I feel really bad that the poor landlady had to walk through the mountains of dirty laundry, but there we are. That's life. So, I mean, it's no secret to anybody who's ever met me that I'm a terrible housekeeper. I'm going to try to be a little bit better at it from here on out. I actually emptied one of my cupboards Friday night or Saturday morning, I don't remember. Took all the, the infamous Tupperware cupboard, Tupperware drawer, whatever you call it. I use reusable containers. None of it is real Tupperware. Let's be honest. I can't afford Tupperware. So it's all like Rubbermaid containers and like Ziploc containers and things like that. So they're meant to be reusable but disposable. I have a big problem with the disposable part. It bothers me. I was actually starting to think of replacing what few containers I had left with glass, but then I went through that cupboard and I don't have a few containers. I have a lot of containers. The problem was that I could never match them up with the lids. So what I did was I dug everything out of the cupboard, got every dish in the house clean, and matched them up. And holy cow, I have a lot of containers. I have a lot of orphan lids too, which are going to be tossed as soon as the recycling passes tomorrow, because I can't put them in the recycle bin. The recycle bin is full. Unfortunately, come summertime, they only pass once every 2 weeks here, and that's a pain in the butt, but what can you do? I can't make the city pick up garbage more often. So once they pass for the recycling, all those orphan lids are going to go in the recycling because they're all recyclable. I had one orphan container that with no lid, but it was a really nice sturdy container, so it is now my current minis storage for now. As I get started on the new mini project, we'll see how that goes. I have some very, very good news to offset the tragedy. I was talking to Rachel of Night Owl Fibers the other day because I had asked her if she would be able to dye me up another skein of Rusty Hook. I've talked to you guys about my plans for the wedding. I want to make Rob a pair of socks that match my shawl. Rob has gamely agreed to wear the socks, even though they're a little crazy for him. They're a little more colorful than he likes. Rather, the yarn is a little more colorful than he tends to like. He's not big on variegated. He likes subtle tonals in manly colors. Fair enough. He's the one who has to wear them. I am willing to knit what he will wear. It was kind of funny because when I was at New Hampshire Sheep and Wool, I found this gorgeous skein of yarn in Fiber Stash's booth, and I really, really, really wanted to buy it for him. But I had reservations because 2 years ago, I guess, I knit him tweed socks. And I'll honestly say that since I gave them to him, he wore them that day, or the day after I gave them to him. I haven't seen him wear them since. He does wear them infrequently, but I realized that I don't think they're his favorite socks. So while I was at the festival, I took the yarn over to, I took a picture of the yarn in a nice sunny location, and then went outside. I went outside and I texted him and I said, "What do you think of this yarn?" And he was like, "It's nice. What's it for?" So I phoned him and I said, "Well, it's for your socks. Do you like it?" And he was like, "I like the color. It's nice." And you could tell in his tone that he was not thrilled. Although Rob will never come out and specifically say he doesn't like something. If it's handmade and it's made for him, he will be gracious and grateful and whatever. But I was like, okay, look it. If you'd prefer that I not buy tweed yarn, there are like a million other choices in there. I could buy a different yarn. And he was like, well, to be honest, I don't really like the little picky bits. It's not because they're picky. It's because he feels them like they are thicker bits in the yarn. I mean, you guys know what tweed yarn looks like, right? So it's got all these nooks in it. And he's like, yeah, I'm not crazy about that. If you could find one that didn't have those. So as you guys will recall, I did find a different yarn for him that does not have the tweed. Wow, did I get off topic. Anyway, I was talking to Rachel about ordering this yarn, and her response was, "Oh, I actually still have some of that. I'm willing to put up a listing for you. Oh, and by the way, I'd like to offer a coupon code to your viewers." I love Rachel so much. I was really sad that I didn't get to go to Stitches, well, that I will not this year get to go to Stitches Midwest, because she vends there. She vends at most of the Stitches marketplaces, and I will really miss not getting to see her. Well, I will miss getting to see her and her mom, Brenda. They're fantastic people. They're great to hang out with. Rachel's booths are always very creatively decorated, and I'm going to miss them. So she is the sweetest person, and she has offered us a 15% off coupon code. She did not specify the end date, though, so I will have to check with her and get back to you guys next week. It just occurred to me that I skipped the last episode in April and did not do the April birthdays. I will post them in the show notes because I'm a poo head and I forgot. May birthdays. Wow, May. It's now June. So anyway, you can get 15% off at nightowlfibers.com by using the coupon code WAYWARD15. WAYWARD15. I will let you guys know next week when the end date is. For now, head on over to Night Owl Fibers and see what you like and use that lovely coupon code. So that is, my tea is a little far away. The administrator, yeah, my tea is sitting next to the laptop, So today I am drinking one of my favorites, my absolute favorites. My friend Jen, when we were at New Hampshire Sheep and Wool, brought me 5 boxes of the Strawberry Vanilla Fool from London Fruit and Herb Company that I like so much. She gets it at this discount store called Ocean something or other that's like end lots. So it's dirt cheap. If I tried to buy it on Amazon, it would be $20 a box. She bought these for 2. So she bought that. She was like, how many do you want? And I'm like, can I get 5? And she was like, yeah. So, which reminds me, I still need to pay her for those. Because I'm very forgetful. And she didn't remind me. So, Jen, I owe you some money. So this is one of my favorite teas. I've talked to you guys about it before. It is so smooth and delicious and fruity and I'm actually enjoying the fact that it's warm. I've been drinking iced tea for the last 3 days. I'll just make a big pitcher of tea in the morning and drink it all day. So today's tea was the, was it Twinings? I think it's Twinings. It's the buttermint. It's the peppermint vanilla in Canada, but in the States I think it's called buttermint. So good and really, really good cold too. So, but I was in the mood for some hot tea, so I have my Strawberry Vanilla Fool right now. In my lovely little David's tea mug that my boss got me for Christmas. I'll put that back on the freezer. I've actually gotten a bit of knitting done in the last couple of weeks. Not a ton, but I've gotten some. So I will show you my progress from Rob's sock, which is living in my little, unicorn squad bag that Mandy of Mandy Pinecone Crafts made for all of us at New Hampshire Sheep and Wool. And I'm also using my little needle keeper, my little Hanukkah one that Mandy made me last year, a couple of years ago. It's got her signature hot pink fabric on the inside. So this is my bust knitting. This is what I knit to and from work every day. So I think I've got about 50 rows done of the 75 that I do for the legs of Rob's socks. He likes a long leg. Well, I mean a full-size leg, not a shorty one like I like. So I tend to do 75 rows for his legs. This is my standard 3x2 rib. You guys are going to get bored of hearing about these because I've always got a sock for him on the go. So it's my standard 3x2 rib. The pattern is based on Sock Recipe, A Good Plain Sock by Stephanie Pearl McPhee. I don't really use it. I don't use a written pattern anymore. I took a class with her and she taught us how to figure out a sock from heel to toe rather. Excuse me. And so I've always used that method. I will occasionally knit a pattern sock for me, but Rob likes his socks to be exactly the same. the first pair I knit him, he really liked them. He liked the way they fit. He liked the way they look. And the computer's still doing that thingy where it turns itself off after a little while. So hopefully that didn't just glitch. But so I use the same pattern for all his socks. It's actually showing up a little bit more green than it is. It's actually closer to, it's more denim than this blue over here. It's a very jeany color, like very, very close to denim jeans, to the blue wash ones. This is Fiber Stash Strong Toes in the ink colorway. I'm loving it so much. I've actually made 2 new knitting friends on the bus because of these socks. The first lady was like, "Oh, I love that yarn. Where did you get it?" And she's not on Ravelry, and she is a knitter, and she's just learning to make socks. So I was like, "It's from Fiber Stash. Here's their card." Because I just happened to have the label and the business card in my little pouchy here. So I actually gave her Christy's business card to her, and we chatted about knitting the whole way to work. And on the way home that night, there was an older lady that I was sitting next to, and she was like, "What are you knitting? Is it a mitten? Is it a sock?" Like, she kept asking me questions about it, and like, she was the nicest lady, and she's a knitter. She's never knit socks before. She's an older style knitter. She knits mostly acrylics, and she knits baby ponchos and like blankets and things like that. So she's starting to branch out into more different sorts of patterns and different sorts of techniques and stuff. So we had a good chat. So yeah, I made 2 new knitting friends last week on the bus. Neither one of them was on Ravelry, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, the older lady in the evening, well, both of them said that they see me knitting on the bus all the time, so it was kind of funny. But so that's the progress I've made. I think I was only like 5 or 6 rows in the last time I showed it to you guys. I just cast on. I'm hoping to finish the leg by the weekend so that I can do the heel flap and gusset. I'm before Rob comes up to visit. My goal is to get the first sock finished by the time I come back from Chicago. I'm leaving on the 17th or 18th to go down, and then we're there until the 24th. Zach and I are driving back on the 24th. My son is coming with me to help me work on the house so that Rob can prep it to sell. So I'm hoping to have the first sock finished by the time we get back, because obviously I'm going to have some knitting time while I'm down there. I'm hoping Rob does some of the driving on the way down so that I can get some knitting done. I obviously have to do all of the driving on the way back. Zach doesn't have a license yet, but maybe by the next time we do this trip he will. So we'll have to say, well, the next time we do this trip will probably be driving, will probably be when we get married. Not this coming September, but next September. So, yeah. I don't know that I'm going to be driving it too many more times between now and then. I'll probably be flying. But, yeah, wow. That's something. The next time we do this trip, Rob and I will be driving it together because we'll be heading down to get married. Wow. That's barring any unplanned trips that, I much prefer to fly because I hate wasting a day each way in travel. I mean, we do spend a day in travel each way anyway because there's all the stress of going to the airport. There's 2 flights, blah, 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 driving the 2 hours back from the airport on his end. Because when I fly Porter, we fly into Midway, not O'Hare, and Midway is considerably farther from his house than O'Hare is. So, we still lose travel time, but it's less stressful when you're not the one driving. When somebody else is in charge of getting you there, it's a little less stressful. So, I don't know that I'll be driving it again before I get married. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so that's the progress I've made. And these, I actually already had 2 sets of these. But I had not brought any to New Hampshire sheep and wool with me, so I had to buy yet another set of 2.5 millimeter US 1.5 carbons, because I love my carbons. They are the best sock needles. I like my high sharps as well. I find the carbons a little grippier so I don't have to worry on the bus. My son is watching me over there and he's making fun of me here. Are you actually listening to this whole thing? No, he's got his headphones on. Okay. So I find them a little bit grippier, so they're easier to knit on the bus with because I have dropped stitches while knitting on the bus before, which is why I prefer the Highas for at home and the carbons for on the bus, because these are a little grippier. They don't slide off as easily as they do on the Highas, which are stainless steel, so they are slippery. These are carbon fiber with nickel tips, and they don't slide as much. So anyway, that's my little 2 cents on why I choose which sock needles for what. So I'll put this away because I do have some other knitting, as much as I was devastated by the tragedy. I haven't switched it to the bigger needles yet, so I'm sorry. You won't get a clear picture of what's going on, but it's actually starting to look like a hat. I will switch it to the bigger needles soon. I think I'm going to wait until I'm like really bunched up on the needle because it's actually going pretty quickly. I did buy bigger needles while I was at New Hampshire Sheep and Wool, so I will be able to switch on to bigger needles soon. But I made some good progress on the chuppah. I got about 10-12 rows done on that. So the lace pattern is really starting to show now, and I'm really enjoying it. I can't show it to you all that clearly because obviously bunchy needle. Next week I promise I will have it on the bigger needles to show you guys. So I'm really enjoying the lace as it's knitting up. And it's a super easy pattern. It's very intuitive. This is the Lace Chuppah by Cat Coyle. It is out of the summer 2007 issue of Interweave. The last time I recorded I said 1997. That's completely wrong. It's 2007. I don't know why I was convinced it was 1997. But it's out of their 2007 summer issue. And it's gorgeous. I love how it's knitting up. It is knit out of Bartlett Yarns 2-ply in the oatmeal. It's a natural colorway. I don't think it's dyed. I have 10 skeins of this, I think. It's 220 yards each, so I needed 2,000 yards of it for this. I should have enough for the whole chuppah and the fringe, if I want to add the fringe. I think Rob and I will decide on that together. I will show him what it looks like without the fringe when it's finished, and show him the picture of it with the fringe and see what he prefers. And yeah, I'm easy either way. And this is on a 9mm needle, which is US 13. It was the one size that is really hard to find because everybody has 15s, everybody has 10s. The sizes in between 10 and 15 is very hard to find usually. So I got lucky in finding one circular needle that was longer than this in a 13 in the whole festival. It's not a huge festival, but still, there were quite a few people selling needles. So I have made quite a bit of progress with this, and I'm very happy, and I'm going to continue working on it. I'm a third of the way through the first chart. There's 2 charts. The second one I think might repeat, or it might be an optional to repeat. I have the pattern right here. I could look, but it's paid for pattern, and I don't want to accidentally show you guys. I'm a little more than a third of the way through the first chart, so I'm making very good progress and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm about halfway through the first ball yarn, so we'll see how that goes. It lives in my yarn bowl because it's going to be too big to travel, and quite frankly I don't have the concentration to follow a chart outside of the house, at least not one where every single line changes. So I only knit on this here. Put that over there, and because I was a little sad at not being able to find my School of Play, I cast on something new. It's small, but you can add, oh, the lace is showing up nicely. I love it. It's gorgeous. So this is the Branching Out Scarf by Susan Lawrence. It is out of Knitty's 2005 spring issue. When I first saw it, I think I started knitting in 2006, and I discovered Knitty around about the same time I discovered Ravelry, so around 2007-ish, maybe 2008. I don't remember when I joined Ravelry. It was near the beginning, but it wasn't right at the beginning. So I saw this. It was my very first Knitty issue that I looked at. And I really liked this scarf. I'll show you the lace up here. So it's all leaves all the way up. And I really liked it then. And I knew I wanted to knit it, but I never got around to starting it. I couldn't find the, well, I don't know if it was that I couldn't find the right yarn or what was going on, but anyway, I never knit it. And today I was looking for something new to cast on because I was a little sad that I couldn't find the school play scarf. It's got to be around somewhere probably, because it was sitting on my freezer. My freezer is sort of like my extra table, because this table I got from Carrie. If you remember Carrie from Two Tangled Skeins, I actually bought this table from her when she moved. And it's an IKEA table. It's got 6 drawers in the middle, and the 2 sides fold out. Well, until this past week, this side was folded down. We weren't using it. So I've only just had this workspace for the last week. So I was using my freezer as sort of a catch-all space. And so anyway, I decided I wanted a new cast on. I decided I wanted to use this yarn. I've had this yarn in my stash since I think first year I was knitting. No, it had to be after I joined Ravelry, because it wasn't until I found the group, the Ottawa meetup group. This is from Janie H. Knits in Perth, which no longer exists. Janie retired a few years ago, closed the store, and but this is one of the yarns that I bought at her store. It is Barocco Bonsai, and I do have the label. Yeah, I thought I had one that I hadn't torn. Oh, well done, dummy. You lost the label. I do have a label here. Sorry, it's ripped, but this is Barocco Bonsai. It is a 97% bamboo, 3% nylon yarn. It has the most gorgeous sheen, and it's a ribbon yarn, which means that it's not round, it's a flat yarn. So it knits up a little bit differently. It's absolutely gorgeous. The nylon thread is actually wrapped around the bamboo, like it's a long flat bamboo piece. It's almost like a linguine, noodle, as opposed to a spaghetti noodle, which is what you would expect a yarn to look like. So it's more of a linguine than a spaghetti, if that explains it at all. You probably all think I'm crazy now. I know my son does. So I bought this stuff at Janie's a long time ago. I have 4 colors. 3 skeins of 3 of the colors and 5 skeins of 1 of the colors. So I decided that it was about time I did something with it. Sorry, I'm showing you the back all this time. This is the front. There are actual knit stitches there. I really love how the lace is coming up. The bottom is a little bit curved because the cast on, the center is where all the decreases are, so until I block it, it's not going to sit flat. But I'm really liking how this is knitting up, and that's my cat all the way at the end of the hallway yowling for somebody to come pet her. What? We're all over here. Come here. This is what she does. She will go to the other end of the house and yowl for somebody to come get her. Nobody's coming to get you. So this is and it's a hand wash only in cold water. So yeah, it's or dry clean. So it's not going to be something that I wash a lot, but I'm really happy with the way it's knitting up. Sorry, there we go. I love how it's knitting up. It's super soft. It's very nice to knit with. It's not splitty at all, which I was afraid of, given that it's a wrapped ribbon yarn. There's a tiny nylon thread going around the flat part. So I really like how it's knitting up. It's not splitting. It is a very intuitive, very easy pattern. This is a chart that I think I could follow easily enough. Outside the house, it's only 6 rows, plus the wrong side rows, which are all purled. So it's fairly easy. I get the feeling I'm going to memorize it pretty quickly. It's really easy to read as well, so I can tell whereabouts I am. And I'm knitting this on size 8mm needles, which is, no, size 5mm needles, which is US 8. And these are also carbons circulars, and, well, because y'all know I love my carbons. So, I have 3 balls of this. It should make a nice sized scarf. I've just started. This is 2 pattern repeats. And so that's the knitting I've done. And this is in, they don't have colorway names. It's color 4149, which is a green. There's no names. So super exciting on the colorway name. I'll just grab a sip. Dang it. The monitor turned off and I was just going to leave it off to see what happened. And then when I put my knitting down, I bumped the mouse. So, I just want a little more tea. There's been a lot of podcasting going on these days. The Knit Girls, of course, are putting out their 1 or 2 episodes a week. Must Love Yarn has put out a couple. Selma put out a new episode recently of Little Big Knits. Andrea of the Cat Lady podcast has been keeping up with her podcasting. And who else have I watched lately? Well, Sarah, Steeped in Books, who is the Canadian knitter, True Connect Girl on Ravelry, she has been putting out 2, 3, 4, 5 videos a week. It's hard to remember how many she's put out. I've been watching them, but it's hard to remember like how many I've watched unless I go back into my YouTube queue and see exactly what's come out when. But suffice to say, there's been a lot going on in the podcasting world. Night Owl Fibers has actually put out a new episode, and she actually has a knit along going on in her group right now. So if you head on over to her group, I think it's the Hunter Cow? Does that sound right? Harvest Cow? Hunter Cow? Something like that. Starts with an H. Sorry. So head on over to her group and join her her knit along that she's got in progress. There's also the Garments Galore Cow that's going on in Little Big Knits and Hawthorne Cottage Crafts groups. The 2 groups together are hosting this cowl for garments. It has to be something that you would wear on your torso. It can't be like mitts or a hat or socks. It has to be either a sweater, a skirt, a t-shirt, it has to be a significantly sized garment. So that's from January 1st to December 31st, so it's the full year. I think they each have like special categories. I think Kate has one for men's sweaters, or I don't know if I'm mixing them up. Anyway, check out both groups because you could win prizes on both sides. You can double dip. They don't mind. And so go check out their groups and check out the rules. And yeah, check out check out the cowl over in Rachel's group at Night Owl Fibers. So I have been doing a little bit of reading. I blew through that Stephen King book in like 3 days flat. It was Elevation. It was really, really good. It had a lot of elements of some of his older books. There were parts of the story that were reminiscent of Thinner and parts of the story that were reminiscent of other bits and pieces of other stories. But it was super good to read. It was only about 150, 160 pages, so it went pretty quick. But I really, really enjoyed it. It was definitely a throwback to some of his better novels. And because for a few years there was a little bit of a departure around about the Hearts in Atlantis era. There was a bit of a departure in his writing style, and I didn't enjoy those books as much. But he seems to be back to his old writing style from before, because he had a very serious accident. He was actually hit by a van while he was walking along the road near his house, and it took him a long time to recover from that, and I think that's sort of when his writing style changed a bit, and he seems to be going back to the style that he had before he had that accident. So I'm very happy to see a lot of new stuff coming out from him. There's going to be, the Castle Rock TV show is doing very well. They're making movies from, what's his name now? The guy who was in Mr. Mercedes, like the main character from Mr. Mercedes. I'm a bad fan because I didn't even know that was the second book in a series when I bought it. Hi, kid. Other kid just came in to throw out her garbage. Um, so, no, you can't make noise right now. Go away. She's like, I love having kids. So I'm a bad fan. I didn't even know that there was a first book when I bought it. So I bought Mr. Mercedes, not realizing that it was a sequel. It's actually the second book in a trilogy. So they are making, or they did make a movie out of those books. I don't know. I'll have to look again. But anyway, I'm very happy to see so much new stuff from Stephen King. It's been super exciting. I picked up something a little bit different afterwards. And I'm kind of regretting it because I'm not enjoying it as much as I usually do. I have a guilty penchant for true crime stories. I don't read them frequently because I tend to get very emotionally involved with them, and I tend to get very uncomfortable when I'm reading them. One of them I actually had to stop reading because it was making me physically sick to read it. It bothered me so much that it was making me sick to my stomach to read it. This one is not quite in the same vein. I'm not enjoying the author's writing style. It's called Deadly Whispers. It's by Ted Schwartz, and it's the story of Tom Bonney, who killed his daughter Kathy, and claimed to have multiple personalities. I'm having a lot of difficulty with the author's writing style. It's not very well written. It is choppy. It is preachy. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it feels like they're not telling the story. They're just rehashing evidence that they've read. It's not like he never met Tom Bonney, the author, Ted Schwartz. He never met the subject of the book. He never interviewed him. He's just going off of everything that was presented in court, which feels like sensationalism. It feels like he did this to profit off the crime. And it bothers me. It also bothers me that he seems to have it stuck in his head, like he's completely bought into this whole multiple personalities thing. And there's no real evidence to suggest that that's what happened. If you actually research the case, I don't know. It's bothering me. I'm going to try and finish it. I'm about almost halfway through. I picked it up at the beginning of the week, and I gotta say I'm not enjoying it as a read, but I'm gonna try and slog through because I do want to see where it goes. I mean, I know what happened in the case, but I want to see where the author goes with it. All I can say is I won't run out to pick up another one of his books. I'm not enjoying his writing style at all. Yeah, he's very repetitive. It's a lot like watching those old A&E true crime specials, you know, like Unsolved Mysteries and things like that, where they repeat everything 50,000 times. Because that was one of the problems that I had with the old A&E true crime specials. I don't know if any of you guys remember these from like the 90s. But they would repeat everything like 2 or 3 different ways over and over and over again. And it was always like this dramatic music in the background as they repeated the same thing over and over and over again. And that's kind of how I feel about this. I feel like he's being very repetitive and very sensationalist. It really does make me feel like he was like, well, nobody's written about this one yet. Let's write a book. And it rubs me the wrong way. So I will see if I can finish it. I will probably pick up a fiction next as a palate cleanser because... bleh. What? Well, hop up. You're perfectly capable. Come on. Yes, I know there's something on the side you usually jump up on. Come on. She's being lazy. She expects me to go get her, and I'm not gonna. So, sorry, you don't get any kitty butt today unless she wants to hop up on her own. So the other thing I've been doing is I've been watching a lot of Netflix. I watched Salt, Acid, Fat, Heat, or Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. I don't remember the order. It's a cooking show. It's got 4 episodes. It is, to say it's a cooking show is super simplistic and does not come close to covering what it's really about. It is sort of a sensual journey into what makes good food. It's very, I mean sensual in the, like, she really engages all your senses watching this thing. It's amazing. The only thing that she can't engage is your sense of smell. Or taste, obviously, but trust me, your mouth is watering by the end of the episode. They're really, really good episodes. I would strongly recommend seeing it. And then I started watching a sitcom. So you'll have to excuse me. I know I try not to swear on the podcast, but the show is in fact called Schitt's Creek. It's a Canadian show. It stars Eugene Levy, his son Dan, Maureen O'Hara, and I'm blanking on the name of the girl who plays his daughter. Ironically, his daughter is in the show, but she doesn't play his daughter. His son does play his son, though. So it's really, really funny. It has cemented my dislike for Chris Elliott. I'm so sorry. I'm sure he's a lovely man. I cannot stand the characters he plays. He's always a rude, brash, disgusting man. I hate that type of character. And the fact that that's pretty much all he ever plays. Ugh. But I am really, really enjoying the show. It's really funny, and it's very Canadian. So it's on Netflix, so you can go watch it on Netflix. And so that's what I've been watching. I finally ended the run today of Schitt's Creek. And it's a person's last name. It's actually a legitimate last name that they picked out of a phone book. Dan Levy was explaining this on Stephen Colbert one night. He was like, yeah, it's actually a legitimate person's last name. Like, they're all there. You can find them in almost every country. It's a very unfortunate last name, but there we are. That's the last name. So it's a really, really funny show. I highly recommend watching it. The premise is that the Roses, Eugene Levy, Maureen O'Hara, and their 2 kids have been robbed by their business manager. Basically, he has taken all their money and fled, and they are now impoverished. The only recourse they have is to move to this town called Schitt's Creek, which Johnny Rose, played by Eugene Levy, bought at one point as a joke. So he owns the town, but they have no money. They have no way to support themselves. The mayor of the town, Chris Elliott, offers to put them up in the town motel. So that's how that starts out. And it is, I'm 4 seasons in, and it's hilarious. I'm really, really enjoying it. So that's what I've been watching. And I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing Rocket Man, which came out on Friday. It's the Elton John story. Well, it's the story of Elton John's early career. So it looks like they took Bohemian Rhapsody and decided to just, like, do that with everybody. Because I think there's talks about a Who movie. I don't know if it's actually being worked on yet, but there's talks about a movie about the Who. So they did it with Elton John, and it came out last Friday. A friend of mine saw it. She loved it. Another friend of mine saw it, hated it. So mixed reviews so far. I'm a huge Elton John fan. He is my absolute favorite. I've seen him in concert. I didn't get to go to his retirement concert because I refused to buy resale tickets. I will not buy scalp tickets. I will only buy the original sale tickets, and they sold out 10 seconds after they went on sale. So I'm bummed about that, but that's okay. I did get to see him in concert with Billy Joel once, and it was amazing. And so I really can't wait to see this movie. I'm not a big Taron Egerton fan, so we'll see how that goes. I don't think I'm going to force Rob to sit through this one because he's not a big Elton John fan. He was a really big Freddie Mercury fan. That's why I made him go see Bohemian Rhapsody. But I'm also really still looking forward to Endgame. I haven't seen it yet. Haven't really had time. But because when I get home from work on Saturday afternoons, I don't want to go back out to go to the movies. I just want to veg. So I haven't had time to go see it yet. I'm going to try and make time in the next couple of weeks. It's already been spoiled for me in very large part by one of the kids at the store, who's a poo head. And I told him so. And he was like, but everybody knew about that. And I was like, no, Ben, not everybody. I have avoided all trailers. I have avoided all spoilers. I have seen nothing and heard nothing about this movie. And you just went and spoiled the biggest plot point. Which is probably one of the reasons I haven't seen it yet. Because I really hate spoilers. And then one of my online friends who is actually involved in the comic book industry, he's a comic book artist, spoiled another really big plot hole for me. He was like, oh, I've waited long enough. Now I'm going to talk about it. Blah. And I'm like, no, you didn't quite wait long enough. So I was pretty peeved with him. And so now 2 major plot points have been spoiled for me. And I'm a little peeved, but I still really need to see it. So I don't know. I may go out one night and see it. I probably should have done that today while I was off work. But I did not. So there we are. I do still need to see it. So there's that. I will probably see that one when I'm in Chicago. I don't know if I want to wait that long. We'll see. Because Rob hasn't seen... No, I think he has finally seen Infinity War. He rented it the other night. He got it from a Redbox. We don't have Redbox up here, so this is a foreign concept to me. That there are still places where you can go out and rent videos. Because we don't have that anymore. Anyway, I will stop babbling on, because now I'm really just waffling. And I will say goodnight to everybody, and hope that you all have a great week. Please remember to use the coupon code at Night Owl Fibers. Go and show her some love, because she's got some really neat stuff out right now. She has had a Harry Potter club going for the last several months, since January. They're gorgeous. I want all of them. I can afford none of them at the current time. I've had a couple of unexpected expenses. Obviously, the whole face exploding thing cost a bit of money. My car needed some work, and yeah, things got expensive. So I'm still working on having stashed money. I'm working on stashing down. That's actually a project of mine for this year, sort of, kind of, is stashing down. Stuff that I've had in the stash forever that I will find something to do with it and I will use it. Before I move, which will probably be next year now, I would like to have significantly less stash than I have now. So that involves knitting some of it up. So that's my quest right now. But anyway, I will stop talking at you and I will let you guys go. And I hope that everybody has a fabulous week. And as always, I will ask you all to please be kind to one another. So thanks very much for coming and visiting, and I will say goodbye.